we wanted to take this time to basically talk about um, how does one look at financial planning at various stages of their life, and how does one, what are the factors? So I guess that's my first question. What are the factors that should be considered when we are planning our investment? And whether it is at 25 or whether it is 35 or whether it's 45, what are the factors that anybody should take into consideration while planning their investment?
Right. So thanks, Dipit, once again for having me. It's always a pleasure because these interactions are, while I was introduced to be an expert, I think one of the things that I don't like to be called as an expert. I am actually a student of markets, and I every day continue to learn. Market is a great teacher. I think with that background, what I can maybe share from my experiences is that when you look at investment, I think if we look at it from a first principles perspective, I really like this guy, Simon Sinek, because he taught us to ask why, right? Why do you have to do anything? So I would think we should ask why. Why should one invest at all? The fact is that we're all, by God's grace, have our jobs or businesses, or if you're a freelancer, whatever we do, we have a source of income.
Yeah.
Therefore, life is going on all right. Why should we invest at all? And I think the
Mhm.
fundamental answer for that is that you alluded to the life stages. What
Right.
happens in everybody's life is that things don't remain constant. One goes through a different life cycle. Uh, our parents have gone through it. There is an age where you are young. Your expenses may be a certain type, maybe a certain
Right.
amount. You get married. You become a couple. You have kids.
Yeah.
Expenses change. Quality of expenses change. Amount of expenses change.
Yeah.
Then, so one is the fact that the amount of expenses are changing vis-a-vis the income, right?
Mm.
The other is that as one progresses in this life stage, one realizes that even the type of expenses change, right?
Mhm.
So there could be some expenses. For example, I give an example. One gets married. So let's say the house was small now, or you were living in a small, you were living with your bachelor friends. Now you need a exclusive apartment. That cost goes up. So it's a monthly spend that goes up. You have kids, their costs go up. But then there are also lumpy expenses that come. You suddenly decide that, look, now I need to buy a car. And for
Yeah.
that, I need either to take a loan or I need to put down a lump sum of maybe a couple of lakhs down payment. So that
Mhm.
amount you need in a ad hoc, in a lump sum basis. Similarly, you had kids, now it's time to get them admitted in a school, you need to pay a one time admission fee, so on and so forth. So there are some in expenses that will happen that will be through the months, and there are some expenses that will suddenly crop up and require you to put down a capital. And I think
Yeah.
that is where this whole process of, while it is debated, called very fancy names, financial planning and so on and so forth, I think if
Mhm.
I look at it very, very simply, what you
Mhm.
need to do is that you need to think through what are the kind of expenses through experience that
Mhm.
you will face, and therefore
Mhm.
start providing for them, right?
Right. Right.
Now, somebody can argue that saying, okay, Saman, this is great. I understand this. And therefore, let's say my expenses are going to go up by 10,000 rupees. So I will keep setting aside 10,000 rupees in my bank account.
Yeah.
And therefore, as and when this need arises, I will start to use that money. Now, there is a very fundamental uh, thing about investments and money that one needs to be aware of while we read about it in the newspapers and fancy economists talk about it. It's called inflation,
Mm.
right? So the thing is that, and the best example that I give to teach my kids is that I gave them $50 and they, in their own fun movement, left that
Yeah.
$50 under their pillow and
Right.
maybe inside their pillow and forgot about it.
Right.
And today that $50, let's say, buys them a scoop of their favorite ice cream from Nirla's.
Yeah.
And maybe a year or two later, somebody was changing the pillow or whatever, their $50 note was found. And they remembered this was given to me by dad and this is for my ice cream. But they go to Nirla's, but that ice cream does not cost $50 now, it costs $60.
Yeah.
And I think there is the real inflation. The fact of the matter is that 50 rupees is 50 rupees. It's a promise to pay the bearer 50 rupees by RBI, but it has lost its purchasing power.
Yeah.
And therefore, I come back that the fundamental principle of money is that we all work very hard. But
Mm-hmm.
the fact of the matter is, money has to work harder than us.
Right. Right.
Cannot be that I have money and money is lying on the sofa right next to me, and I get up in the morning and slog my butt off and make money for the
Mm.
family, for myself, for my dreams, for my aspirations. But the money is lying here on the sofa and relaxing. It should
Yeah.
ideally be the reverse. The money has to be running faster than me,
Right.
right? So
Right.
that
Yeah.
actually I can take it easy sometimes. I can say, yaar, ab main 2 mahina kaam nahi karunga because my money has been running faster and it has been generating returns. So that, to my mind, is the power of investment. So to sum up what I wanted to say, it is to set aside money for your future aspirations and goals. And B, uh, the fundamental part is that the reason for investing is that the money should not lose its purchasing power. And the
Mm.
measure of that is that it should continue to beat the rate of inflation.
Right. Okay. I also just I also feel found that when you're planning these things, there's also certain expenses that are naturally going to go up over time. So, for example, medical expenses, right? They are naturally going to go up over time. If you want your kids to have a good education, those expenses are going to go over time. So you need to kind of plan for that rise in expenses at an earlier time so that you can put, like you said very clearly, your money is not sitting on the sofa. You can put that money to work so that 20 years later, when you need that money for education of your kids, it's available to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's a very valid point. So when I look at this concept of managing money, I look at it as a pyramid. And at the bottom of the pyramid is something I call the emergency funds.
Right.
Now, these are for those requirements that you can't predict today,
Right.
right? Your brother suddenly needs money. Somebody in the
Yeah.
family needs money. There was a medical emergency, and although you may have an insurance policy, but this medical emergency is not covered in that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It could be as simple as the fact that there is a uh, catastrophe happening.
Hmm.
Apple, and by the way, it is Apple has opened its own store. The original guys, resellers, are now selling the stocks at discount. So there is something available at a great discount, and
Hmm.
you feel it's a great value. You want to put that money today and buy it. So I'm just saying
Right.
there could be stuff that you cannot predict. So
Yeah.
generally, the way I define it is emergency funds have to be 6 months of your monthly expenses have to be put
Six
aside,
months.
6 months at least. Now, it could
Yeah.
also cover job loss, income loss.
Right.
Today,
Yeah.
whatever may happen, the environment is such, the firm that you worked with decided to shut down India business. You are a
Hmm.
great guy. It may take 2 months for you to find another employment.
Yeah.
So there could be an income loss. So whatever it is, so there is income loss or job loss or medical emergency or any other emergency. 6 months of your monthly expenses. By the way, you should also add any EMIs that you have. So let's say
Right.
you spend 25, 30,000 or 50,000 rupees is your monthly expense.
Hmm.
including rations, including your rent, including your petrol, including your cigarette, party, booze, money, whatever. But you also have 5,000 rupees EMI on your bike, or 10,000 rupees on your car, or 15,000 on your home. All that is so 65,000 into six. That is the kind of money that has to be kept aside. So
Right.
that is at the bottom for the emergency funds.
Thomas, when you're deciding to invest, how do you decide whether you want to put money into fixed deposit, whether you want to put money into shares or the equity market, or if you want to put money into real estate, or if you put money into gold? How do you decide which where do you put your money?
I think this is the most important question actually, and
Hmm.
this in technical terms is called asset allocation.
Right. Okay.
And the best example that I came across in my journey
Huh.
uh, is Indian thali,
Okay. An
right?
Indian thali, huh?
Yeah, you go to let's say a South Indian or a Indian restaurant which serves thali. There
Yeah.
is science behind it, right?
Right.
There is little bit of curd, there is little bit of veggies, there will be a dal, there is a papad, there will be a sweet dish, there will be some
Hmm.
chutney, there will be some raw salad. So
Yeah.
it's an assortment. The reason I
Right.
say there is a science behind is because your body needs all those.
Hmm. Hmm.
Every
Hmm.
small thing provides certain nourishment, certain vitamins, certain needs that your body has.
Hmm.
Now that is a very standardized template, right? सबको उतना ही
Hmm.
मिलेगा.
Right.
It may happen that if you are and that's the big difference between eating out and then maybe cooking at home, because
Hmm.
then you can course correct that to say that, let's say my vitamin D is left less or B is left, or I'm a
Hmm.
vegetarian or I'm an eggetarian or I'm a pescatarian. So you can completely customize it depending upon what your needs are, right?
Right. Hmm.
How these there is some people say ये बहुत खराब है, ये नहीं करना चाहिए, एफडी बहुत
Hmm.
boring होती है, ये नहीं करनी चाहिए, equities बहुत dangerous है, ये नहीं करना चाहिए. The way I
Hmm.
look at it is nothing is wrong.
Right.
Everything has its own nutrients that they give to our portfolio. The
Hmm.
question is, we need to have a good understanding of what is needed in our portfolio and what proportion, right?
Right. Okay. Okay.
So to me, I am a big, big, big lover of equity markets. The reason I'm a big lover of equity markets is because we talked about a little while ago. The fundamental rule is my money has to beat the rate of return has to beat the rate of inflation.
Right.
Now, over a longer period of time,
Hmm.
equities is the only asset class that has beaten inflations,
Hmm.
hands down, right?
Right.
And people give me ask me this question saying, oh, how can you say this? So I say simple example. If there are people on the call today, what did the BSC Sensex close at today? Let's say I'm just
Yes.
gonna just as we 62,848,
Okay.
right? We are in
Yeah.
2023, index is at 62,848. Let's say for the purpose of our academic discussion, 62,000.
Right.
Index was started in 1979 at 100,
Also, it's gone from 100 to 62,000.
right? So, and number of years, so we are talking about 81, 21 plus 20, that is 41
41.
and 43 years.
43 years. Yeah.
In
Yeah.
43 years, money has multiplied 620 times.
Wow. Yeah. I'm not sure what that IRR is, but it seems very
Oh,
high.
no, so this is the other part, right? The people, all of us are very poor at maths. We have
Yeah.
all been taught maths, physics, chemistry, biology, that, but we have not learned some of the basic concepts of compounding. Actually, the
Yeah.
rate of return, I can again do that as a parallel activity. But my
Ah,
guess it will be around 12-13%.
but that's over 42 years is a good number.
Absolutely. I just met somebody, a youngster, who said, "Sir, मेरे portfolio में 12% return आया, मजा नहीं आ रहा है." Right? And I
Yeah,
actually told him, "यार तू एक काम कर, मेरे सारे पैसे ले ले और मुझे गारंटी करके दे दे कि तू 20 साल तक मेरे को 12% रिटर्न देगा, मैं तो गंगा नहा लूंगा, मतलब आई डोंट नीड टू डू एनीथिंग एल्स इन लाइफ. If there was,
correct, correct.
there could be a machine would could say 12% per annum, right?"
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but the thing is, this 42-year period, I am sharing it
Hmm,
very simplistically, has
hmm,
obviously gone through huge turmoils.
right,
So I don't know the age profile of people on the call, but we have seen huge booms and busts. I have
right.
seen tech boom and bust in year 2000, Y2K, right? There was a
I just did the calculation. It's close to 16%, by the way.
16%. Okay, fantastic. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's handily beating inflation.
Handsomely, handsomely,
Yeah,
and
and
so therefore, equity, to my mind, is the protein
uh,
in your portfolio. वो तो चाहिए ही चाहिए. अब वो किस proportion में चाहिए, वो
hmm,
depend करता है on factors like how old you are, how young you are, because as somebody wise said, um, the thing about equity markets is that it is like a drunk guy who leaves the
hmm.
bar
Drunk guy who leaves the bar.
at it when the bar gets shut at 11 o'clock, when
Ah,
when he leaves the bar. The
okay,
only thing certain about him is कि वो सुबह तक घर पहुंच जाएगा, next कहाँ जाएगा nobody knows, right? So the
very
certain
nice.
thing
Yeah,
about equity markets is that over a little longer period of time it will pay you handsomely. कल क्या होगा वो किसी को नहीं पता. So all the pundits who come and say ये कल ऐसा हो जाएगा, परसों वहां हो जाएगा, with all due humility, nobody knows.
so yeah, that then brings me, you led me very nicely into my next question, that how does one choose shares, or does one not choose shares, and does one chooses mutual funds? Because you see, our audience here is not expert investors or analysts or investment bankers. Like me, they are most of us are passive investors. We want our money to grow. बट अगर आप मेरे को बोलोगे कि भाई एनालिसिस करके तू ये बता कि ये वाला शेयर करना है, इट्स नॉट माय पीस ऑफ केक. तो हाउ डज वन चूज शेयर्स, और डज वन नॉट चूज शेयर्स एंड से कि मैं म्यूचुअल फंड में पैसे डालूंगा?
So I think first of all, let's understand this part. It's an important one, and I just want to answer your last question before I quickly jump onto this one. So you talked about asset allocation, and I said all assets are good. Equity is the hero in the plot, and but you cannot have 100%. You तुम खाने में सिर्फ protein भी नहीं खा सकते, right? So you need to have everything. So you
Yeah.
need to build a portfolio. Now the proportion of equity to debt to fix about debt P fixed deposit होना चाहिए, it could be a debt mutual fund, or it could be a PPF, all those, or it could be a bond that you bought. So all those things have to be constructed, have to be customized to your stage, situation in life. Right now,
Right.
let's come to the thing of equity. What is the best way to buy equity? Now, underlying, let's understand this root. What do we want to buy at the core? We want to buy equity stock. Which stock we want to buy? We want to buy stocks of companies which have done well. So
Right.
the data that I shared with you, 100 to 62,000, is
Which have
basically
done well or which are going to do well?
which are going to do well. Correct.
Ah,
Right. So the 100 to 62,000 data that I shared with you is actually data of an aggregate 30 Sensex. Now,
right. Yeah.
these are top 30 companies of the index.
Right.
But mind you, 1979 में जो top 30 companies थी, वो 1980 में नहीं थी, और 81 में भी change हो गई थी. So the constituent keeps changing.
Right. Yeah.
There will be probably very few companies who have actually are still in the index from those last 42 years. So the challenge with the stock ownership is that after you invest, you have to keep monitoring it, right?
Right.
So that's number one challenge कि आपने जो खरीदा whether that continues to be the right company, whether it continues to do well as well as if we had anticipated. So that is one challenge. The second
Right.
challenge with stocks is the cost of ownership.
Right. Okay.
Right? Now let's say
What?
तो मैं आपको दूसरा, अब आपके पास 10,000 रुपए हैं,
Hmm.
राइट, एंड यू वांट टू बाय अ स्टॉक,
Hmm.
राइट. अब आपने बोला यार मेरे को सपोज करो नेस्ले खरीदना है.
Hmm.
आज नेस्ले का स्टॉक 22,000 रुपए का एक स्टॉक है.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
you are basically saying that with your money, it is also creating a challenge कि आप कौन सी कंपनी खरीद सकते हो और कितने शेयर खरीद सकते हो. सपोज करो 10,000 का शेयर होता तो नेस्ले का
Hmm.
एक शेयर खरीदते. नाउ यू आर सेइंग
Correct.
मेरे पोर्टफोलियो में equity is suppose 50% of my portfolio, but that 50% is actually wedded to one stock of Nestle. अगर नेस्ले
Hmm.
अच्छा करेगा तो मेरा equity अच्छा करेगा, नहीं करेगा तो मैं नहीं करूँ. That is
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
second challenge of
Right.
equity. The third challenge is associated operational issues. Today to buy equity you need to open a demat account, फिर वो broking
Hmm.
account खोलो, फिर खरीदो, फिर बेचो, all that. Now
Hmm.
that is
Hmm.
where I think the mutual funds come in as a fantastic product. The reason they come
Okay.
in as a fantastic product is that first of all, let's look at the challenge that we highlighted. आपके पास 10,000 रुपए हैं, आपने एक फंड खरीदा, अब वो
Hmm.
पूल्ड व्हीकल है. म्यूचुअल फंड इज अ पूल्ड व्हीकल. मैंने भी 10,000 डाले, आपने भी डाले, सबने, किसी ने
Right.
5,000 डाले, किसी ने 500 डाले.
हाँ.
That
और
is
किसी
the
ने 5 करोड़ भी डाल दिए.
किसी ने 5 करोड़ भी डाले, right? So
Hmm.
the beauty of the fund is that it is a democratized, it is the true democracy. जिसके पास
Hmm.
जितने हैं वो उतने से आ सकता है.
Right.
एंड 5 करोड़ वाले को 500 रुपए वाले से के पे कोई एक्स्ट्रा एडवांटेज नहीं मिलने वाला है. वो
Okay.
एक बस है,
Everybody is on the same playing field.
वो बस है, वो बस स्टॉप पे बैठेगी, सब इकट्ठे चढ़ेंगे
हाँ.
और वो एक डायरेक्शन में जाएगी. तो जिसको जब उतरना है वो उतर सकता है, but the
हाँ.
quality of journey for everybody is going to be the same. If
Right.
the fund gave a 10% return, 5 crore wala get 10% return on his 5 crore, 500 रुपए वाला gets 10% return on his 500.
Right. Okay. Okay.
So I think that is the true power of a mutual fund. Second
Right.
is
हाँ
that
जी.
the first point that we talked about कि यार वो अब मैं एक स्टॉक ही खरीदूंगा, सिंगल स्टॉक एक्सपोजर हो जाएगा मेरा 500 रुपए में.
Hmm.
अभी तक क्या है, क्योंकि ये फंड है, उस फंड मैनेजर ने पूरा पैसा कोलेक्ट करके ही इज एक्चुअली इन्वेस्टेड इट इन 25-30 स्टॉक्स.
Right.
सो योर 500 रुपीज एक्चुअली इज स्प्रेड ओवर 25-30 स्टॉक्स.
Right.
वो भी एक बेनिफिट है कि आपका पैसा सिर्फ एक कंपनी या एक सेक्टर के ऊपर नहीं चल रहा. देयर इज अ 20-30 कंपनीज. द
Hmm.
थर्ड थिंग इज दैट द पोर्टफोलियो मैनेजर्स जॉब with his analysts is to
हाँ.
ensure those 30 companies are the right companies that have a future potential. कि अब
Right.
साल ये शेयर कंपनी, इसके बाद आगे ग्रोथ प्रोस्पेक्ट्स कम लग रहे हैं, या
Hmm.
सपोज इसके प्रोस्पेक्ट्स अभी भी बहुत अच्छे हैं, पर एक
Hmm.
ऐसी कंपनी मिल रही है जिसके प्रोस्पेक्ट इससे भी बेहतर हैं.
Okay. तो
राइट.
वो सारा काम वो करते हैं.
वो सब वो काम करते हैं एंड दे डू गेट अप इन द मॉर्निंग एंड उनका डे टू डे काम है. अगर मेरा
Hmm.
काम है कि मेरे को ऑफिस जाके कुछ कोडिंग करनी है या कुछ प्रोडक्ट पे डिजाइन करना है या डिजिटल मार्केटिंग करनी है या सेल्स करनी है, मैं अपना काम कर रहा हूँ. मेरा पैसा सोफे पे नहीं बैठा हुआ, मेरा पैसा मार्केट में लगा हुआ है, वो काम कर रहा है.
Right.
It is working harder than me. So that's my personal recommendation for retail investors. And in fact, I have in my career also dealt with institutional investors who have invested in mutual fund. Like you said,
Hmm.
5 crores, 50 crores, 100 crores. I have also collected checks of 100 crores into mutual funds of
Right.
institutions. So I think everybody has over a period of time understood the convenience, flexibility, importance of a very open, transparent product like a mutual fund.
लाइक जैसे म्यूचुअल फंड सही है,
सही है।
राइट, बट आपने अभी बोला सावन क्या म्यूचुअल फंड इज द राइट इंस्ट्रूमेंट to participate in the equity market for the retail investor. But anyways, equity markets are the drunk who comes back home.
राइट।
मतलब वो ये पता है कि सुबह 6 बजे तक वो फोन जाएगा घर।
हाँ।
तो अगर इसको हम रियलिस्टिक टर्म्स में डालें तो आदमी को कितनी देर पैसा डाल के एक्सपेक्टेशन अपनी मेंटेन करनी चाहिए कि भाई मैं इतनी देर पैसा नहीं निकालूंगा इस मार्केट से, तभी मेरे को वो जो 15 16 13 14 15% रिटर्न है वो मिलने का चांस है। मतलब कैन यू से कि जी मैं 6 महीने के लिए पैसे डालूंगा और मेरे को 16% मिल जाएगा, या मैं साल के लिए डालूं, 3 साल के लिए डालूं, 5 साल के लिए डालूं, या 10 साल के लिए डालूं, या 42 ईयर्स के लिए डालूं,
या
इतनी देर सेंसेक्स को लगी है
तो
चढ़ने में।
देखो ऐसा है कि फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल तो ये ऐसा कोई भी नहीं चाहेगा और ना ही एडवाइस करेगा कि आप अपने घर का पैसा घर बेच के मार्केट में डाल दो, क्योंकि ये डबल ट्रिपल क्वाड्रपल होने वाला है, राइट? सो एसेट एलोकेशन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट
राइट।
एंड आई वुड रेकमेंड स्टार्ट स्मॉल। एसआईपी इज अ ग्रेट वे। 500 रुपए की एसआईपी करो, 1000 रुपए की एसआईपी करो, 2000 की एसआईपी करो, एनीथिंग दैट कैन comfortably take out of your monthly income and invest for a long period of time. Do that. But you
राइट।
asked a very particular question ki what is the definition of long term when it comes to equity, right? So my answer to that question is कि अगर 3 साल से नीचे का पैसा है तो और आपने equity में डाल दिया, then it is a slot machine. तो आपकी किस्मत की बात है कि अब हो सकता है 6 महीने में 20% रिटर्न मिल जाए और ना हो तो ऐसा ही किसी को एग्जांपल दे रहा था कि 15% रिटर्न अगर 3 साल में मिली तो इक्विटी का ऐसा 100।
Sawan, we've lost your voice. With this, can you hear Saman?
No, sir. No, sir.
Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yeah, now you are. Yeah. Thank you.
I was just saying that the thing with equity markets is that let's say you were getting 15% return, or 10% return, let's say you invested 100 rupees, and in 3 years, let's say your capital should have become 130. Simple return कर रहा हूँ, अभी compounding नहीं कर रहा। तो अब वो 130 ऐसा नहीं होगा कि 10 10 10 मिलेगा हर साल। It could be 0 0 30. It could be 30 0 0. Right? It could be 5 10 15. It could be in any order.
Right.
So as long as you understand that you have patience, and the longer the patience you are willing to have, the sweeter can be the results.
Right. Okay.
And therefore, I say that
that's the thing. Minimum 3 years should be something that we should keep in mind.
yes, minimum 3, ideally 5. मैं तो ये बोलता हूँ कि मतलब I would need money in 20 years actually. So
okay. Yeah, I understand. The longer you can keep it, the better it is.
तो आप मैं अब दूसरी तरफ से पूछता हूँ, मैं बोलता हूँ कि आज इंडेक्स 62,000 है। लास्ट 40 साल में इट हैज गॉन 620 टाइम्स। तो नेक्स्ट 20 साल में विल इट गो 310 टाइम्स?
वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू कमिट।
राइट, मैं बोलता हूँ नहीं जाएगा। मार्केट मैच्योर हो जाएगी, इट विल मे बी नॉट गो, इट कैन गो, इट वोंट गो, बट विल इट गो अप? If not 310 times, will it go up 100 times?
Very high probability.
If it goes up 100 times, 20 years,
yeah,
then I to just want to stay invested, man. The whole prospect of saying कि मैं अगर आज 1 लाख रुपए डाल दूं और 100 times of a lakh is a crore.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I
So
see what you
So I think the and it is quite possible कि वो 20 साल ना वेट करना पड़े, 15 साल में 1 करोड़ हो जाए,
Right.
और हो सकता है 20 के 25 भी हो जाए, 20 साल में 100 नहीं हुआ जी, 80 लाख हुआ, whatever, I don't know, but I'm just trying
Yeah.
to say, do you have any other vehicle or an investment opportunity which has the potential to do this?
Yeah. Answer: I don't think I don't think there's anything else that can come close.
So I don't think we can avoid it. So it is not the behavior of the equity markets, actually, it is our behavior which is going to determine whether we will get those returns or not.
Someone gave a question from the audience, and they're asking that should they invest lump sum or should they invest in an SIP?
Okay, so it's a good question. The answer to that is very simple.
Before you get into it, Samant, I would encourage others to please put their questions in the Q&A session, in the Q&A box. Anil, please, sorry.
See, why does SIP actually work? Actually, SIP की जो return होती है ना, it beats the fund manager also.
Okay.
And the reason it beats the fund manager is कि suppose करो मैं fund manager हूँ और मैंने ही ये decision लिया कि ये नेस्ले है, लोगों ने दूध पीना छोड़ना नहीं है, चॉकलेट खानी छोड़नी नहीं है, मैगी खानी छोड़नी नहीं है, तो ये स्टॉक तो यहाँ से 10-15% की रिटर्न देता ही रहेगा, तो हमने ये स्टॉक नहीं बेचना. जैसे वॉरेन बफे है, वो कहता है लोगों ने कोक पीनी छोड़नी नहीं है, तो मैं तो कोक में 20 साल से इन्वेस्ट करके बैठा हूँ, कोक का स्टॉक तो बढ़ता ही जा रहा है, राइट? So I'm saying, let's say I am that fund manager and I say कि यार नेस्ले का स्टॉक पकड़ के बैठ जाओ, 10-15 साल पैसे अपने आप बन जाएंगे. अब लेकिन क्या हुआ कि आज 2023 है, 2020 लेट्स से 2023 में अक्टूबर में सपोज मैंने 22,000 का स्टॉक खरीद लिया, और लमसम वाला क्वेश्चन था ना, तो मैंने लमसम में नेस्ले खरीद लिया और मैं बैठ गया. अक्टूबर में क्या हुआ कि जैसे इन द पास्ट हुआ इज कि कहीं किसी पैकेट में फंगस निकल गया मैगी में, एंड सडनली बहुत शोर शराबा हुआ, उसका स्टॉक प्राइस जो है 22,000 से गिर के 18,000 पे आ गया. तो जो लमसम वाला है वो तो बैठा ही हुआ है 22 पे लेके, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. जो SIP वाला है वो तो फंड मैनेजर ने तो स्टॉक बेचा नहीं, तो अभी फंड की भी NAV उतने पर्सपेक्टिव से कम हो गई जितना उसके पास नेस्ले था. अब SIP वाले ने जिस महीने अपनी 1,000 रुपए डाले, तो उसकी एक्चुअली नेस्ले की परचेज प्राइस 18,000 पे आ गई. So okay. And 2 months later it was found that oh, this was not a fungi or whatever, ये तो कुछ और प्रॉब्लम थी, पैकेट फट गया था या किसी ने somebody had done a notorious thing or whatever, everything went back to hunky dory. Nestle stock went up to 25,000. अब जो जिस लमसम पे लिया हुआ था उसने 22,000 पे लिया हुआ था, जो SIP वाला था उसकी एवरेज कॉस्ट जो है वो 22,000 से भी कम आ गई. करेक्ट. तो उसका जो आई वुड से रिटर्न होगा टू दैट एक्सटेंट इज एक्चुअली बेटर देन द फंड मैनेजर, राइट, बिकॉज ही बाइज एट एवरी fall also.
But he also buys at every rise.
Thank you for asking that question. So it is very interesting. See, mutual fund is a unitized product. He does buy it at a rise, but when the NAV falls, for the same 1,000 rupees, you get higher number of units. But when the NAV goes up, for the same 1,000 rupees, you end up buying lower number of units.
Right.
If I was to change it the other way, अगर आप इसको सोने से कंपेयर करो कि यार सोने का भाव गिर गया, तो आपने सोने के सेम पैसे में आपको सोने के ज्यादा ग्राम मिल गए, लेकिन जब भाव बढ़ा था तो आपको सोने के कम ग्राम मिले. एट द एंड ऑफ द डे व्हाट डू यू वांट? You want कि यार मेरे पास 1 किलो सोना होना चाहिए, 1-1 ग्राम करके, and over a longer period, the trend line is only going up. So
Understand. Yes, Saman, having so much experience in the investment arena, what are the mistakes that you have seen some people make when identifying investment opportunities? In your broad categories, क्या गलतियां लोग करते हैं, and how can they be avoided?
So quickly, I want to just answer. There is a question that I see there. So I think that
Okay.
the question is coming from 15% in 3 years is just 5% a year. So my example was actually not 15%. When I gave that example in saying the return is 10% or 15%, I was talking annualized. I was not talking absolute. But having said that, your question is अगर 15% return आई 3 साल में, which is only 5% a year, how can I measure return on my investments per year? Like how much my money grows every year. So by the way, all returns, disclosures that happen from the industry, from the mutual fund industry, आप किसी फंड की फैक्ट शीट पढ़ते हो या कोई आपको रिटर्न का डेटा भेजता है, all the return is actually annualized. मतलब वो अगर बोलेगा कि 15% है तो वो साथ में P.A लगा होगा, मतलब per annum. So it is an average per annum, right? But like the example that I was giving was 15% per annum पर 3 साल का मतलब हो गया 100 रुपए डाले तो 145 रुपए होने चाहिए. बट हो सकता है कि वो पूरी 45% रिटर्न लास्ट 1 साल में आई हो, पहले साल में 0 थी, दूसरे साल में भी 0 थी, नेगेटिव भी हो सकती है.
सर वो 145 से भी ऊपर ही होगी. It will be 52 because it will compound.
Yes, I gave that disclaimer that I'm just for the purpose of this discussion using 15%
Yeah.
as a simple annualized and not compounded. But just to answer this question, yes, money has to be tracked in terms of its growth rate on a yearly basis. But the magic is that while you are doing that, don't lose the sight of the fact that it is over a longer period of time, the benefit of compounding is going to accrue to you.
Can you just explain in simple terms the benefit of compounding?
So, okay, let's say 10% per annum.
हाँ, जी.
Right? 10% per annum, 1,000 rupees invested. So in a FD, you would get 100 rupees back. Or any other fixed return instrument, आपको 100 रुपए वापस मिल जाएंगे. When what happens is when that 100 rupees is also invested back for the next year. So next year, not 100 rupees is, 1,000 rupees is invested, but your investment corpus has now become 1,100 rupees. So you get 10% on 11% on 1,100. So the effective capital that you create is always higher, right? And
Correct.
therefore, the rate of return that you end up getting is far more than the simple rate of return. That is the benefit of compounding.
सर कोई पूछ रहा है कि कोई इन्वेस्टमेंट टिप्स की वेबसाइट बता दो.
Okay, so investment tips are exactly like the tips that you will get on the new gym or the new way you can lose weight. I think making money from investments is about discipline more than anything else. And तो ये जो स्ट्रैटेजी होती है ना, हमारी वर्ल्ड में कहावत है that discipline eats strategy for breakfast.
Right.
तो रोज सुबह उठ के जो नया टिप देने वाले जो लोग हैं, उन्होंने आज तक अपना पैसा 620 गुना नहीं बनाया है. ठीक है? But the guy who's actually followed a sensible path of asset allocation and disciplined way of investing, he or she is the one who's made money. And I have I have been fortunate both from inside and by the ring side because of the career that I've had to meet innumerable number of investors who have benefited either by way of discipline or by way of forgetting that they had invested that money.
Uh,
right?
in
So
fact, I just met somebody who realized that they had bought Reliance here 20 years ago and they had forgotten about it because they had moved out of the country.
right,
Now when they have come back, it's just वो तो उनकी तो लॉटरी निकल आई है.
absolutely, absolutely.
So between the bonus and the dividends and the uh, capital appreciation, that thing is just gone through the roof. So
Yeah.
I guess. So I
So,
was
but
asking.
coming back, I don't want to shy away from answering anything, but a quick question, suggestion that I want to give to
Hmm,
whoever asked that question about investment tips. I think
hmm.
the focus should be on expanding your knowledge. So मेरा पहला suggestion और request ये है कि सुबह उठ के कोई भी एक बिजनेस न्यूज़पेपर आप चूज कर लो, मिंट, इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स, बिजनेस स्टैंडर्ड, उसको
Hmm,
कवर टू कवर चाटना है. You
hmm,
have
hmm,
to read that document every day in the morning. What will happen is that you will have 50 questions जिसको आपको समझ ही नहीं आएंगे. ये क्या लिखा हुआ है, स्टेटमेंट का मतलब क्या है. तो you build a little bit of a inquisitiveness on it, go to internet, read about it, build the capability to understand what is happening in the economy and why these newspaper headlines or events actually
hmm,
impact the companies, right? उन companies को इस event से क्या benefit होता है. For example,
hmm,
इंटरेस्ट रेट्स, सपोज करो आरबीआई बोल रहा है कि हम इंटरेस्ट रेट्स को अभी कम कर देंगे,
hmm,
राइट? क्यों कम कर देंगे? बिकॉज आरबीआई हैज टू बोरो मनी, तो उनको भी तो
hmm,
अपनी बैलेंस शीट चलानी है, तो वो कह रहे हैं हम कम पैसे रेट पे बोरो करेंगे, तो हम कम कर देंगे, ठीक है.
hmm,
नाउ लेकिन इसकी वजह से हीरो होंडा का
hmm,
स्टॉक बढ़ गया 10%,
hmm,
राइट? क्यों बढ़ गया? बिकॉज बॉस, हीरो होंडा इज द वर्ल्ड्स लार्जेस्ट मोटरसाइकिल मैन्युफैक्चरर, वर्ल्ड्स लार्जेस्ट
hmm,
मैन्युफैक्चरर इन द कंट्री, हमारी कंट्री में. As a
hmm,
as a country, we have a very large population which moves on two wheelers.
hmm,
Rate sensitive segment. मैंने मोटरसाइकिल लेनी है और मेरी किश्त अगर 800 रुपए से बढ़ के 1100 रुपए हो गई महीने की,
hmm.
तो मैं अपनी परचेज को पोस्टपोन कर देता हूँ. मैं बोलता हूँ यार
Right.
मैं अब नहीं लूंगा,
Hmm, hmm,
सेकंड हैंड ले लेता हूँ, या मैं अभी
hmm,
बसों में जा रहा हूँ या मेट्रो में जा रहा हूँ, अभी मैं वही कर दूँ. द होल प्रेमाइस की इंटरेस्ट रेट कम हो जाएंगे और उसकी वजह से ये किश्त अगर जो है वापस 1000 के नीचे आ जाएगी, would mean that there is a lot of demand which is sitting on the sideline, which can suddenly come into the market and the sales will go up in the next
right.
quarter,
Okay. Right.
right?
Right. Right.
So I
Hmm,
think that is, and this has got nothing to do with stock market. It is such a fascinating thing just to improve our knowledge. हम किसी
hmm,
बिजनेस में काम करते हैं, हम जॉब करते हैं, हमारा इंडस्ट्री किन चीजों से अफेक्ट होता है, उसके प्रोस्पेक्ट कैसे बेटर हो सकते हैं, नहीं हो सकते. तो मेरा फंडामेंटल सजेशन ये रहेगा कि आप सिर्फ और सिर्फ पहले एक फाइनेंशियल डेली रोज, आई एम सॉरी टू यूज दिस वर्ड, चाटना शुरू कर दो, and
hmm,
you will not have answers. Find the answers to these questions, build your knowledge on that, and from there you will build confidence. That is one. Second thing, as far as mutual funds is concerned, there are a lot of websites you can go to. For example, there is a very popular website publication called Value Research. You can go to Value Research. It is a
hmm,
compendium वो सारे म्यूचुअल फंड्स की लिस्टिंग देता है, कौन सा
hmm.
टाइप म्यूचुअल फंड है, उसकी क्या पास्ट ट्रैक रिकॉर्ड है, इसने 5 साल में
Hmm.
क्या रिटर्न दिया, 1 साल में क्या रिटर्न दिया, पिछले कल क्या रिटर्न दिया, 1 डे रिटर्न क्या था, 7 डे रिटर्न क्या है, 1 ईयर रिटर्न क्या है, 10 ईयर रिटर्न क्या है, सिंस इंसेप्शन रिटर्न क्या है. सो यू
It's
गेट ऑल
called value research.
वैल्यू रिसर्च ऑनलाइन, yes,
Okay. Hmm.
.com.
Okay.
So I think there are these kind of resources that are available which you
Hmm.
can build. और द easiest thing is कि आप उस एक बेसिक रिसर्च कर लो, या अगर आपका कोई एडवाइजर है उससे बात कर लो,
Hmm.
उसको बोलो भी मुझे 500 रुपये, 1000 रुपये, 5000 रुपये, 10,000 रुपये SIP स्टार्ट करनी है, या 1 लाख रुपए लमसम डालना है, मुझे बोनस मिला है, तो मैं एक अपनी इन्वेस्टमेंट जर्नी स्टार्ट करना चाहता हूँ. तो to begin with, you can start with something called as an index fund. You can start with a multi-cap fund, which is or a large cap fund. इन ये 3 टाइप के फंड से आप अपनी इन्वेस्टमेंट जर्नी स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं.
Right. Okay. Samant, we just have about 5 minutes. So, जो लोग इन्वेस्ट करते हैं उनको जब उनको ये सुनने को मिलता है ना कि देखो 4 साल 5 साल 7 साल अपना पैसा मार्केट में रखना है, पीपल लोगों को बड़ा डर लगता है बिकॉज कोई इतना सर्टेनिटी से कह नहीं सकता कि मैं इतना पैसा छूंगा नहीं जी अगले 5 साल. It becomes little difficult to go in that direction. So if you need money in between that journey, what are your options?
So I think today the best part about India is that एक तो बेसिक इकोसिस्टम बहुत ही डेवलप हो रहा है. फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज का इकोसिस्टम बहुत अच्छे से डेवलप हो रहा है. मार्केट पार्टिसिपेंट्स डेवलप हो रहे हैं, रेगुलेशंस हैं, और उसके चलते बहुत सारे प्रोडक्ट्स एंड सर्विसेज आर कमिंग, राइट? Now, if you are, let's take that example where we started, that if we think our money is going to get multiplied 100 times in the next 20 years, तो यार मैं अगर उस पैसे को डाल के बैठा हूं और बीच में मुझे कुछ रिक्वायरमेंट आ गई, I need some part of my money liquidity for whatever reasons, could be medical emergency, could be other priorities in life, कुछ भी आ गया, तो अब उसके लिए the best part is these securities are available. They are now RBI and SEBI have a framework where you can take जिसको पुराने जमाने में कहते थे गिरवी रखना. तो अब आप इन स्टॉक्स को, इन म्यूचुअल फंड्स को गिरवी रख रहे हो, लेकिन ये वो सेंस में गिरवी नहीं है, ये तो बेस्ट सेंस में गिरवी है. बिकॉज उस टाइम में क्या था, सोने को गिरवी रखते थे, सोने की तो घर पे पड़ा ही हुआ था, राइट? इट वाज नॉट क्रिएटिंग एनीथिंग न्यू, बट दीज एसेट्स विल कंटिन्यू टू ग्रो, विल कंटिन्यू टू अर्न, और आप अपने पीरियड के लिए यू कैन टेक अ लोन अगेंस्ट दीज. सो तो अगर आपको इसमें इंटरेस्ट रेट थोड़ा देना भी पड़ जाए, तो पहली चीज तो ये है कि आपने अपने लॉन्ग टर्म एसेट्स को नहीं तोड़ा, अपना लॉन्ग टर्म प्लान नहीं तोड़ा, विच आर योर हाई परफॉर्मिंग एसेट्स, राइट? आपने शॉर्ट टर्म की लोन के लिए अपनी नीड्स को पूरा करने के लिए इनको इनके अगेंस्ट लोन ले लिया, एंड आई थिंक दैट इज अ विन विन फॉर एवरीबडी.
Right. Samant, I think that's a good note to kind of end this session on.
Sure.
A win-win for everybody. Thank you, Samant, for doing this. I think it's been very enlightening, even for a regular investor like me, just to get a sense of कि क्या सोचना चाहिए while planning your financial health. You see, we plan so much for our mental health, physical health, but we don't think about our financial health.
Right.
And I think जरूरी ये है कि इस फाइनेंशियल हेल्थ के बारे में हम ही सोच सकते हैं, क्योंकि हमें पता है कि हमें अपने बच्चों को कहाँ पढ़ाना है, हमें कैसे घर में रहना है, हमें कैसी गाड़ी चलानी है. Those are very personal things. Correct. And so we need to give it a little more thought and then plan accordingly. And like you have mentioned, that the best instrument to generate wealth over a long term is the stock market. So we should look at the stock market as an avenue, and within that, look at mutual funds because it's the lowest risk and the lowest, most passive way of investing.
Right.
So I'm so happy we were able to do this, Saman. Thank you for coming on board and getting our customers and some of our employees also. Thank you so much again, and look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.
Pleasure is all mine. Thank you. Good evening.
Bye. Thank you.